Hey everyone, it's Caitlin, your geeky girlfriend, back again with another episode of my Real Talk movie review series. As always, there are some minor spoilers ahead, and tonight we have a very special episode in honor of J.R.R Tolkien Day. I'm going to be reviewing Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. For those of you familiar or not, this is the first installment in the 3-movie series based on the very popular series of books, which then spawns a prequel series of books and movies to follow, The Hobbit. So if you have not yet watched The Lord of the Rings, this video is for you. And for those of you who maybe have not watched them in a long time, well, maybe you'll give them a second try. The Lord of the Rings trilogy began in 2001 with the release of The Fellowship of the Ring. And I'm going to be reviewing the original theatrical version, not the extended version, which you can now find on HBO Max. I had never watched this film before. This was not like a rewatch. This was a very first time viewing, and I wanted to do it in honor of J.R.R Tolkien. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, let me know in the comments what you want me to review next, and let's get right into the review. So I decided to arrange this slide as a little bit of a timeline, and I will talk about my pros and cons in a minute, but first let's talk about the story itself. So I have that top picture there. It says, "So it begins." I believe this was a theatrical, like, marketing poster. This is the ring. It has like some elven language inscribed on it, and the whole story actually follows the ring itself. Before watching the film, I was like, oh, the Fellowship of the Ring, and it's the Lord of the Rings. It must be about a king or something. And it sort of is, but the Lord of the Rings is actually referring to the person who created all of the rings, but it's actually referring to this specific ring itself. This one is the most powerful, and therefore it is considered to be the Lord of the Rings. So the bottom, we go from the top left down one picture. That is Bilbo Baggins of the Shire. He is the Hobbit. It's my understanding that the Hobbit prequel books and movie franchise follow his life before he found the ring, his interactions with Gollum. You find a little bit out about Gollum in this film, but you don't see him too much, but I understand he's a pretty big part of the Hobbits. Now, Bilbo has the ring for a really long time, and therefore, like, lives way longer than he is intended to do so, and he kind of makes some jokes about how he's living in his little hut way longer, and people keep knocking on his door trying to take over his home. But then he decides that it's time for him to kind of go away, retire, and give into nature's end. And so he gives the ring to Frodo. So we move to the top middle picture there. That is Frodo. We don't quite know the relationship between Bilbo and Frodo yet. Like, it's not his son, but it must be like a nephew or something, was my understanding. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody will let me know. But Frodo acquires the ring and really wants nothing to do with it. He wants to destroy it. He wants to get rid of it. He doesn't like what he saw it doing to Bilbo and what he's heard about Gollum. So he wants absolutely nothing to do with it. He doesn't want anything to do with the legend or the mystery at all. And so, moving down another picture, like I said, we got a little timeline going because I'm trying to tell this story as basic as possible without giving too much away. The next picture, we see the man on the left who decides he's going to be like Frodo's guardian and take care of Frodo. And then obviously we have Gandalf the Great on the right in the bottom, or the middle picture there. So Gandalf is Bilbo's friend who's a wizard, a mage of sorts, and he agrees to also help Frodo, but first he sends Frodo off by himself, and therefore he meets Aragorn, I think is his name on the left. Yeah, Aragorn. And Frodo and Aragorn meet up, and Aragorn vows to protect him and all this stuff. So then they go and they talk to one of like they try and make their way around to all the elven like tribe leaders, and they go to the head of the like elven council, and it's decided that Frodo is going to go destroy the ring, and he has to be the one to do it because nobody else has the willpower. They talk about, the temptation is strong and the force is strong and those sorts of things, and Frodo decides that he's going to be the one to do it, but in order to get him there, he needs like a troop of protectors. a la the Fellowship of the Ring, which is made up of different soldiers or warriors, leaders of the different elven, dwarf, hobbit, all those different tribes of people that all inhabit Middle Earth. So we have at the very bottom picture there in the middle, we've got this guy who everybody now knows from a meme, which is kind of sad. Like, I almost wish I would have watched this like prior to the meme culture, because as soon as he says, like, he has a line, one simply does not, whatever the rest of the line is, and he became a meme. So as soon as we heard that, we were like, oh, that's where that meme comes from, and now we understand that reference. So I put that picture, so if you haven't seen the movie, you'll recognize where that meme comes from now. Even if you decide not to watch the movie, you'll have that little bit of pop culture that you can now understand where that meme comes from. It comes from Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. And so he is from Gandor. They pick him up. We've got Gimli, the dwarf with the long red beard. And then we see Orlando Bloom, which honestly, I don't even know Orlando Bloom's name. If you look it up on Google, it's something with an L, but I don't remember it ever being said in the film. But he is like of the elven tribe. They eventually go and see more of his family and higher up leaders. So the Fellowship also consists of a couple of Frodo's friends from the Shire, and like a couple of other soldiers or warriors. And the whole goal is to protect Frodo so he can destroy the ring. And he has to be the one to do it. And they're going to the Mount Doom, or like the Mordor, which is where the ring was forged, and they have to get it back there to be destroyed. The pros of this movie. This movie was released in 2001, and honestly, we were expecting the quality to be a little low. Some of the visual effects and the sound and the lighting and the camera angles and that, we were expecting them to be a little cringy, maybe a little laggy, like the CGI, not so great. But honestly, the quality still holds out, and I didn't even notice any like editing issues or anything that was like super laggy or choppy or anything like that. It all looked really good. The storyline is very easy to follow, much easier than I was expecting. We actually had to rewind the first part of it because right away off the bat, like, it's the first 5 or 6 minutes is narrated, and it's kind of retelling past events, including how Bilbo came to find the ring. And we had to rewind that a couple of times to really make sure we were understanding. And so I was like, oh, great, we're going to have to do that through this whole movie. But once you get past the beginning, and if you're really paying attention in the beginning, then the rest is very easy to follow. The characters' names are not important as long as you can tell them apart, as long as you can look at their face and remember, like, oh, he's the, protector. He's trying to steal the ring. He's not. He's this. He's that. He's the dwarf. He's this. Then the names really don't matter, which is helpful. Because some of the names are hard to pronounce, they're hard to read, they're hard to say. So honestly, as long as you know the difference of which character is which, and honestly, you don't even need to know which tribe they belong to, as long as you know whether or not they're part of the Fellowship. And the ending was suspenseful, but it was pleasant. Like, I wasn't expecting it. It was very sudden, but it makes you want to watch the Twin Towers. So it makes you want to watch the second film. So that was a good lead into the second one. The cons. So being a Harry Potter fan first and seeing all the Harry Potter movies first before watching Lord of the Rings, the amount of parallels between the two universes and between the two franchises is uncanny. For example, we've got Frodo, who, if you put some glasses on him, would look kind of like Daniel Radcliffe, speaks a lot like Daniel Radcliffe, kind of gives me a Tom Holland vibe as well. And then you've got his best friend Sam, who's a redhead. So when you see those two on screen together, it gives you an instant flashback to Ron and Harry. And then also one of the other characters looks like Neville. So I just got a lot of Harry Potter vibes, even from the Hobbits alone. And then we've got Gandalf, who resembles very much Albus Dumbledore. And he's a old wise wizard who has all this power and all this magic. And so there are definitely a lot of parallels between the two, and it was hard to watch Lord of the Rings, honestly, and not be like, oh, this reminds me so much of Harry Potter, but I tried my best. We were very confused on why Gandalf doesn't use more magic in the film. There may be more information in this in the books or in later movies, but I understand that there's a part in the film where Gandalf gets in a battle with another wizard, or a mage, I'm not sure what term they would use for Gandalf, and he uses his magic there, but then like later on in the film, Frodo and the Fellowship are fighting off all these orcs, which are like the creatures that are trying to steal the ring, and Gandalf just like hits them with his staff. Like he doesn't use his magic, and we were like, why is he not using his magic? Like, is there a reason? We don't know, and you don't find out in this film. And then he uses it like at the end of his part of the movie, like, and we were like, why didn't you do what you just did before? Like, does he have limited magic? Is it running out because of his old age? I don't really know, and it was really confusing. We didn't know why he didn't use more magic. And then lastly, there's a couple scenes where Bilbo Baggins gets really, really possessive of the ring. This is where the whole line, my precious, and like the really high, creepy voice comes from, is from this film trilogy as well. And specifically Gollum in general. But Bilbo does that same thing, and he gets like really creepy about it, and it legit gave me a jump scare. So just keep that in mind. Watch out for that because he can get a little creepy. Overall, my score for Lord of the Rings is a B. I thought it was very magical, hence the little genie lamp. I just thought that was funny. And I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it better than I thought I was going to. Not as good as Harry Potter for me, so that's why I had to give it a B. But for those of you who are really into this franchise, I can see why. It's easy to watch. I do really want to watch Lord of the Rings: The Twin Towers now, because I want to know what happens. I want to see what happens in this story, and I thought the ending was very abrupt and sudden, and now I'm like, oh, what happened? So I can't wait to see. So when I watch that movie, I'll be sure to come back and do another review. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and hit that red button, hit subscribe. Let me know in the comments what movie you want to see me review next, and keep it here for all of my latest films. Lots of new movies coming out, lots of new cinema coming out. I've got another, I already have like 2 or 3 movies on the list that I'm going to watch and review for you guys. So thanks so much for your recommendations. Keep it here. And as always, if you don't already follow me on Instagram, head over there for more exciting content as well. Thanks, guys. See you in the next one.